Hello, everyone, and welcome to SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar, Website Planning 101. I'm Tim Ryan, the webinar coordinator and a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County, and I'll be your host. This webinar is sponsored by Pitney Bowes. Our presenter today is Jessica Baldwin. More on Jessica in just a minute. First, some brief info on SCORE. There's over 320 offices and 11,000 volunteers nationwide. We're part of the Small Business Administration. SCORE Fairfield County has over 100 volunteers with a wide range of industry, process, and subject matter expertise. We offer 3 primary value-added services to small business owners. First, free one-on-one counseling. Second, educational workshops and webinars, over 100 per year. And third, extensive resources on our website, including Word and Excel templates to help you build your business plan. SCORE puts on many webinars each month. Look for future events on our webinar calendar at fairfieldcounty.score.org. Some useful info about today's event. If you have a question, please use the chat window at any time during the presentation. It's located in the lower part of your screen. Our webinar will end promptly at 1 o'clock to respect your time. The session is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be available at our website within the next couple of days. Now our speaker. Jessica is the co-founder of CardSetter, a new and easy to use website platform. Jessica has been helping small businesses launch successful websites for over 7 years. She also spent more than 10 years growing her own successful blog and entertainment website for Billings, Montana, billings365.com. Jessica has been on both sides of website development as the client and then later as a development company, giving her a robust understanding of the entire process. Jessica, take it away.
Okay, hey everybody, I'm Jessica and I want to welcome you to Website Planning 101. Thanks so much for registering for the webinar and for being here today. So here's what we'll cover today. We're going to discuss why planning your website is so important, and we'll cover the common pitfalls to avoid. We're going to talk about what we call a minimum viable launch point, and then we'll get into the 4 main steps for planning your website. Finally, we'll review how to choose your website platform and provider. And then at the end, we'll have time for questions. We will try to take a few here and there throughout the presentation, but in the interest of time, we'll try to save most of them to the end. Let's see, I'm your host today, and as mentioned in my introduction, I've kind of been on all sides of the website process. I owned my own small business that I started in 2009 and hired someone to build my website for me. So I know what it's like to go through that entire process. And then later I got involved in helping build other people's websites in an agency setting where we did primarily WordPress websites. And then from there, kind of noticed some shortcomings of WordPress for the type of business I was running with Billings 365. And my co-founder and I came up with the idea for CardSetter to be an easy to use and flexible website platform that includes design and setup for our customers. So, you know, gone through all of these stages of websites. And so I really understand, you know, what it's like to be in your shoes, as well as be on the building side of the process. I also have Randy here with me today. She's going to help me monitor the Q&A and help me with questions. Randy, would you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Randy. Thanks for jumping on to geek out about websites with us. I am a small business owner as well. I'm actually a customer of CardSetter. And when I was launching my business, I went through the process of, you know, initially trying to build my own website on Wix, and turns out I do not have an eye for design, and it didn't go too well. So I gave up and hired an agency to build my website for me. And then later, as I grew and needed more, you know, my website to do more things, I switched over to CardSetter. And so we're excited to kind of share what we've learned in our own website journeys with you. I'm going to be managing the Q&A, so please drop questions in the Q&A. It's a lot easier for us to monitor questions there versus the chat. And we're going to kind of be walking through a website planning workbook today. And you can download this workbook from our website. So I'm going to drop the link to that in the chat box so you guys can download it from there and kind of follow along with us if you'd like, or it gives you something to work on after the webinar. But I'll give it back to Jessica, and thanks for being here with us.
Okay, so first of all, why is planning your website so important? So whether you decide to build your website yourself or you decide to work with a professional to build it for you, planning first is going to help you gain clarity on what you and your customers need from your website. It'll help you prioritize what is most important. It's going to help you make better choices for your specific needs. And it's going to help you save time and money, streamline the entire process so you can actually launch faster. So it's really good to, start your website journey with a plan in place first. That brings us to our pitfalls to avoid. So we see a lot of business owners put the cart before the horse with a focus on design before planning out their website. So for example, you might start, checking out website designs and themes before you know what your website needs to do or what assets you have available to make a good design happen. So oftentimes when you're looking at these templates, they'll have, some really nice looking photography in the design. All those photos kind of have a similar color palette, and the photos are really helping make the template look amazing. Now, if you don't have the same type of photography to go in the template, the design won't look the same. And similarly, the design might have specific places for copy and headlines, but you don't know what you need to communicate on your website yet. So you want to design your website around your needs, around the copy and assets that you have available around your business, not try to make your business fit into a pretty template. Along those same lines is choosing a platform before you've laid out your plan. So when you plan first, you're going to have a better framework for matching your specific needs to the platform with the features that are going to work best for you. And then again, if you're thinking about, choosing a freelancer or agency to help you with your website, it's better to plan your website before going down that path. If you plan first, you can enter the conversations with these professionals with your very specific requirements. That means that you'll get a better estimate from the professional and your project will cost less and move along quicker because you're giving them all of the details up front. So they don't have to go back and forth with you on every little detail, which saves a bunch of time. And, in that process, time is money. And so it will save you time and money. Okay, so now that we've discussed why planning is important, I want to talk with you a little bit about what we call a minimum viable launch point. So in working with hundreds of business owners on their websites, I've seen projects completely stall out because the business owner will be stuck on one specific page or section of content for their website. They might, want something for their website that they just don't have time to get to right away. You want to try to avoid this by focusing on your minimum viable launch point. So what is the minimum level of functionality and content that you need to launch your website with? So for example, maybe you envision having a services page with all of your packages perfectly lined out. You're going to have, a list of what's included and the pricing listed, and maybe people can buy the service and check out on your website. But perhaps you're just getting started in your business. You're not quite sure what should go in those packages yet or how to price them. So in the meantime, you could start your website with just a general description of the services that you can provide, some background about your expertise on that services page, and then you could have a form where people could request a custom quote to work with you. You can change that page later as your packages become more concrete and your business evolves and you know what should go there. You can change that page to reflect the way your business is operating at that time. So you want to take on the mindset that your website is iterative. It's not something that you get perfect and leave alone and, it just exists in its current state for eternity. It is something you're going to adapt, change, grow as your business adapts, changes, and grows. So the purpose of planning is not to plan to perfection. There is no such thing. It's to get you to a good point where you could launch your website and then build and grow it from there. Okay, it looks like maybe we have a question, Randy. Should we answer one or keep going?
The question was asking if a transcript, recording, and slide deck will be available for the attendees. I know the recording is sent out. I'm not positive on a transcript. And if the slide deck isn't sent, you can reach out to us and we can send you a copy of it.
Okay, so we're going to get into planning your website. So the next section is going to go through the 4 main steps to planning your website. This is going to include pages from our website planner, and Randy dropped the link to that in the chat, so you can go ahead and download that at the link provided. So you're going to get a PDF version or Google Sheets version. You can choose whichever, suits the way you like to work. If you like to sit down with pen and paper, you might want to print off the PDF. If you prefer to type on your computer, then the Google Sheets version will suit your needs. But when you fill this out and you complete a website plan, you're going to be better equipped to choose the right platform, the right design templates, and create your website faster. Or alternatively, you'll have a comprehensive plan that you can hand over to a professional, ensuring a smooth website building project with them. Okay, so the first thing you want to do in planning your website is to outline the technical details and your feature needs. So you want to take an inventory of any technology that you're already using and consider the features and functionality your website is going to need. So then you want to consider what tools you may need to facilitate some of those features. So this is what that looks like in our planner. So we're going to log our business name, indicate whether we're building a new website or moving an existing website, log the website address and where you have that registered. So maybe that's at GoDaddy or Google Domains or elsewhere. So this type of information is really useful, especially if you work with someone else on your website, because they're getting a picture of, all of the logins and information they're going to need to collect from you, and they have that all in one place. So next you want to list out all of your social media links. So you'll have those handy for access. You can add those links to your website, promote your social media accounts, whichever ones you're on. And here's where you're going to start thinking about the features that your website is going to need with the features checklist. So are you going to blog? Then your website's going to need a blog feature. Are you going to have a freebie or download as a lead capture? Does your website visitor need to be able to schedule an appointment with you? Are you selling products? Will you want to be able to accept payments through a form? Do you have a membership program? Is there anything else that you can think of that your website will need? Now, the point of these checklists is not to say like, oh, I need all of these things. Like, obviously, my website needs all of these things. No, you need the essential features that you and your customers need so you can do business together, right? So don't feel like you need to have every single feature that's listed here. Think about the features that are important to your business and your website and the way that you're going to work with your customers, and check those off. If you're going to take payments on your website in any way, you're going to need a payment processor, a way to take credit cards online. So we have a few options listed here, a few popular options listed here. If you're already using one of these, you can check it off on the checklist. And if you aren't already using one of them, you can start researching the different payment processors available that you may want to use on your website. I will mention that the one at the top, Stripe, I like because it integrates with so many different online tools. So it's really flexible option if you don't already have one. E-newsletters. So maybe, you are running an e-newsletter. Maybe you have an Instagram page and you have a newsletter sign up. Maybe you're already using one of these. If not, and you plan to do some email marketing in your business, you're probably going to want the sign up form on your website. So it's going to need to integrate with your website. So we have, the most popular MailChimp, ConvertKit, Constant Contact listed here. So if you plan to use one of those or you're already using one of those, you can check that off. If not, you can start researching the different e-newsletter platforms out there and decide which one is right for you. So then at the bottom of this sheet, there's specific software. You can list any specific software you need your website to work with and any additional feature needs. So some examples of, other software that you might want to work with your website. One example, we worked with a home builder who was using software that their clients could log into and see the progression of their home build with that specific contractor. And that software that they were using had an integration where we could add the login to his website. So that's a case where, in his specific industry for his business, he had a specific piece of software that he wanted to integrate with his website. So if you have any type of software like that, you can include that here. Another one that a lot of small businesses use is a platform called HoneyBook, which helps with contracts, and it has a booking link, and you can add a contact form to your website, and it helps with project management, things like that. That's another integration that, maybe you're already using or you plan to use and you want to list it here. And then feature needs. So if there's any other types of features that we don't have listed here, you can list that in that box. So if you're creating a website, you're also going to want to track your website visitors. You can do that with Google Analytics, which is free. And you also want to install your Facebook pixel on your website when you launch as well. You can sign up for both of those services for free, and both are really important when you start marketing your website. So Google will help you see how many people are visiting your website, where they're coming from, how they're getting there, what pages they're visiting most, how many of them are on a phone versus desktop, and a lot of good information that will help you evaluate how your website is performing. And then as far as the Facebook pixel, if you decide to do any future Instagram or Facebook marketing, you'll need to have that pixel on your website so you can track conversions and activity. And if you wanted to retarget people who visit your website, it would need to be tracking, people from the start. There are other tracking pixels if you plan to, advertise on LinkedIn or some other platform that has that available. You can get a pixel from them and have that on your website for tracking as well. So having all of these technical details in one place makes it much easier to understand what services you already have and what else you need to sign up for to power your website. If you do work with somebody else, this is really, really, really helpful to have all in one place. You sign up for Google Analytics right away, your Facebook pixel, provide that to them. They get all of that information that they need. And then again, for you, it's nice to just have this all in one place as well, because as you're building your website, you can just pull from the planner and get everything set up. Okay, so a tip here while we're on this section is to register your own domain for your website. So your domain is your .com, .org, .net, whatever you're going to choose for your business. And you can register that at Google Domains or GoDaddy. My preference is Google Domains simply because it makes it easy then to set up your email address at your domain and start using Gmail for your email client, along with, just having your one Google login for all of your stuff. It's just my preference, but GoDaddy is also another good reputable company. There are lots of other options out there, but those are probably the two most popular. So registering your own domain in your own domain account ensures that you are the official owner of your domain. and that you always have access to it. So if you sign up for a do-it-yourself website builder, many of them will have the option to like register your domain while you're setting up your website. And they love that because it makes their product stickier and harder for you to leave later if you decide that's not right for you. Well, I already registered my domain, now it's in there. And it can make it more complex to switch platforms in the future. And you want to have that flexibility to be able to move your website if you decide you want to. It's just easier to do if your domain is registered in a domain registrar instead of in a website builder. Now, if you work with an agency or freelancer, some of them will offer to register your domain for you. But if you go this route, they're probably going to register your domain in their domain account, which means that technically, they're the owner of that domain. You are not the owner of that domain. And then, if they decide, if your relationship goes south in some way and they stop returning your phone calls or emails, or they decide they're not doing websites anymore, they're going to move to Bali and live on the beach, and they just quit answering emails, you don't have access to your domain anymore. It's impossible to get. And so it's just safer to have that in your own domain account so you can always access your domain. You really want to treat it like an important business asset, because that's exactly what it is. It's just as important as your logo. You wouldn't leave your logo just with somebody else. You want to have that important business asset with you. Okay, it looks like do we have some questions in the chat, Randy?
The main thing going on in the chat is if people joined the webinar after we talked about the planner, they couldn't see the link. So if you joined after we talked about it, we are walking through a website planning workbook throughout this presentation, and it's available for you to download. So I will drop the link in the chat box again. So if you've joined after it was dropped there, you can just click the link and download the workbook from there.
Okay. All right, so next section is business information. So in this section, we're spending time on the description of the business, the ideal customer, and defining the exact action that we want our website visitors to take. So you're gonna begin with your general business description. So what does your business do? What products and services does it provide? Next, you're gonna describe your ideal customer. So this is a pretty important section when it comes to your website, because we're thinking about who the website is for and what are their needs. So I like to use this simple fill in the blank statement to think about this ideal customer. And you want to fill this out from their perspective, not your own. So from how they would say this sentence. So as a type of person, I want some goal so that some reason. So for my business, Card Setter, I would fill this out as a small business owner, I want to spend less time building and administering my website so that I can spend more time on revenue generating activities in my business. So that's how I think about the customer of Card Setter and how they would fill out this statement. For a financial planner's ideal client, it might be something like, as a busy 30-something, I want to invest in my future so that I can retire with a home on the lake. So when we describe who our ideal customer is and what their desires are, it will help us design the website and the copy around their needs. So also on this page, we have room for your key benefit statement. So why is your business the best choice for your ideal customer? So for our financial planner, the key benefit statement might be something like, Lee Humphrey takes the overwhelm out of financial planning. He'll help you take simple steps to achieve your big dreams, beginning with just 30 minutes of your time to get started. So you can see how that was kind of the key benefit statement. The copy for that is directly, derived from the ideal customer statement or how they would describe their problem. Now we're trying to say back to them how we uniquely help them solve that problem or meet that need. Okay, so next you'll want to list out your main product and service categories with the description for each. This is going to be really helpful for easy reference when you start planning out content and the organization of your products and services. And then what is the primary action that you want your website visitors to take? So that's going to be different for every business, right? And it depends on how you do business, how you work with your customers, how they can become a customer. So you might want your website visitors to request a quote, sign up for an initial consultation, buy a specific product, book an appointment with you, sign up for your free resource, or any other number of things. So what is the number one thing that you want them to do? That's going to be your primary call to action, and you want to plan your website around helping your visitors take that action. Okay, so now that we have our technical details outlined, we've defined our business, our customer, and we know what action we want them to take, we can look at our assets. So what do we have available to make our website design happen? So in this section, we're compiling the graphics that you have available along with any copy that you are using to market your business. And we're going to organize all of that in one place so it's easy to access. So if you work with a designer or developer, this is really helpful. So you can send them the assets that they'll need to create your design. And if you build your own website, it's nice to have all of these things in one place so you can pull from them as you're building your site. Now, I recommend putting all of these things in one place in cloud storage like Google Drive or Dropbox, because it makes it easy to share the link if you end up working with anybody. And both of those services do have pretty generous free storage options. And again, if you register your domain at Google and you set up your email, you'll have a Google Drive folder, a Google Drive account as well. So it would make sense to use that for this purpose. So on the worksheet, you're going to include your tagline for your business and any other marketing copy that you're using for your business. You're going to check off all of the assets that you have available. So if you have a logo, if you have that freebie or download resource that we talked about earlier, if you're going to have headshots or brand photos or anything like that, like what do you have available to use in the design? You can also note any color preferences or requirements for your brand here, along with the fonts that you want to use. And again, if you work with someone on your website and you already have kind of a brand guide, like these are the fonts that we use throughout, our brochures and everything, you can log those things here and they know what style to match your website to. And for you, it's just a good note to try to keep your brand consistent throughout all of your marketing materials, including your website. The other thing I'll note here is if you don't have, your own photos taken and things like that, you can use stock photography. There's a few places to get free photos. In the meantime, you can always use stock and replace it with brand photos later. Unsplash and Pexels are two places that I like for free photos. And even if you do like work with a pro, like they might have access to stock photos as well. But, providing a few photos that you like in that folder will give them an idea of the type of imagery that you would like to use on your website. So it can be helpful to have a few photos in there for reference. Okay, so we are finally on to the last step of planning your website, but it's a really big and important step, and that is content. So when we talk about content, this is more than just copy or writing the words for the pages of your website. It really starts with prioritizing information and clearly communicating with your audience. So it includes how content will be organized on the site, what type of content you need where, so images, videos, written text, infographics, whatever you need to tell the story on each page. And it can be helpful to think about your content in a flowchart or what we call a sitemap. So you're going to start with your homepage, and most every website needs an about page and a contact page, but the other menu items are going to be highly reliant on your business, and it's a good idea to plan them out. So go back to thinking about your ideal customer and their needs. So what information do they need to be able to find quickly on your website? This can be a good way to prioritize what should be in the menu. So a few common headings for menu items would be things like services, shop, if you're e-commerce, or pricing. But you could also use really specific products or services in the menu item. So for example, if you were an e-commerce apparel business, you might have tops, bottoms, accessories as menu items. If you were a service-based business like an accountant, you might have a menu item for bookkeeping services and a separate menu item for tax preparation. So, think about what makes sense for your business and your customer to plan those menu items. So once you've created an outline for your content, you can start planning your content and writing your copy. So a good place to begin is your homepage. So what is the most important thing that your website visitor needs to see when they hit your website? This is a good place, again, to look back at your ideal customer, your key benefit statement, and your call to action. These should be the priority on your homepage. And then you want to support those three things on your homepage and throughout the rest of your website. So let's look at a few examples. This is Britt Smart Security's homepage above the scroll. It says, let us keep your family secure and connected, and then smart security and home installation in Columbus and Medina, Ohio. And then the call to action they have is to contact us. So right away, this website is communicating the key benefit statement, keep your family secure and connected. So they're doing that through their key benefit statement, but also through the photo that they chose in this hero section. And so we're getting an idea of, who the customer is that they're talking to. Obviously, they're talking to families, and then they're geographically specifying their coverage area, which is Columbus and Medina, Ohio. So now Britt is not excluding, single people who want to keep their homes secure and connected. But they know that families are most likely to be motivated to hire them for their services. And so that's who they're trying to appeal to with their website. Okay, so here's another example. This is a book called Midway Bravery. And they say a book for anyone who appreciates the greatest generation's wartime sacrifice. So they're really trying to attract the attention of World War II history buffs, right? They're not trying to talk to everybody. The book is not going to appeal to everybody. So they're trying to appeal to that very specific person who's going to be most interested in the book. And then one more example, let's look at Go Unite. So this is Randy's company, and Go Unite is a member-based event organization. So right up at the top, she says, completely planned events. And her support copy says, we bring people together who like to get out, try something new, meet new people, reconnect with old friends, and really experience all Billings has to offer. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our completely planned events. And then she's got this fun graphic with her call to action that says, become a member. So visitors understand exactly what Go Unite has to offer early on in browsing the website. Okay, so now that we've considered what should go on the homepage, let's dig in on the rest of the site pages. So next, you're going to want to do a detailed outline of your products and services with descriptions for each. So earlier we went through kind of a general list of product and service categories, but this section is really meant to be more fine-grained. This is like your inventory list. So if you were doing e-commerce or something like that, you would want to have all of your products and descriptions and variables and prices on this sheet. That will make it easy to enter those products into your website. Or if you're working with someone, it'll give them a list that they can add to your website. But if you're a service-based business, you can also include all of the different services that you offer on this page as well. This is also a good time to start collecting testimonials from any existing customers you've worked with so far. If you don't have testimonials yet, that's okay. But hopefully this prompts you to think about starting to ask for them so you can add them to your website later. Testimonials are going to help you build trust on your website. You can use them on your homepage and elsewhere throughout your website to help, to help communicate your key benefit through the words of your customers and not just through your marketing copy. Okay, so then in the planner, we have several kind of generic worksheet pages for your content. So think about these as starting with your main menu item. So maybe you're going to have a main page associated with the menu item. So what content should go on that page? And then optionally, you could have sub pages under those main menu items as well. And so you could plan out what's going to go on those sub pages. So on these pages, you want to write your copy, like what text needs to go on this page to tell the story for this topic. And then you can also take notes for any type of imagery that you think should be on that page, or maybe you have a video that's meant for that type of page. So you want to take notes for any graphical elements that you're going to have on there as well. Okay. About section. So the about section is where you can really build some trust with your audience. You want to include your background, expertise, and experience in your about section. Really tell them why you're a good person or company to do business with. If you have a business with multiple people in it, you could include bios for your team in your about section as well. So we really are just trying to, show who's behind the business and why it's a reputable organization to do business with. Contact page. So we want to make it easy for your customers to contact you. So you definitely need a contact page, but you don't necessarily have to stop there. So think about your ideal customer and the ways that they might want to communicate with you. Some businesses and their customers really do a lot of business on Instagram. And if that's common for your business, you might want to say, send us a direct message on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it may be, and provide links to those social channels on your contact page. And some people might be more comfortable contacting you in that way. You could also offer the option for people to text the number that you include on this page. And that might help you get more leads as well, because some people might just be more comfortable sending a text than making a call. You would also want to include your hours and your business location, if that's applicable, on this page as well. And if you are a local business who has a location where your customers come to do business with you, so you're a restaurant or a merchant or a salon, or you have professional services, but you also have an office where your clients can come and see you, you might want to include that on your homepage or even on your footer, so it's on all of the pages throughout your website. For businesses like that, a lot of times people visit your website to get that, kind of basic information about when you're open and where you're located and that kind of thing. And then one more thing I will note while we're on this contact subject is please don't only include a contact form on your website. I know a lot of us want to kind of eliminate spam, or we prefer to get emails over phone calls or that kind of thing. But it's a little bit off-putting to the customer if there's only a contact form to get in touch with your business. They're coming to your website, they want to do business with you, and then you're kind of putting up a little bit of friction when you only have a contact form. I don't know about the rest of you, but I know I've experienced just filling out a contact form or someone I want to get in touch with, I want to do business with them, and then I don't hear anything back, and I don't have another way to get in touch with the business except for that contact form. And so you want to make it easy for people who want to work with you to get in touch with you. So my recommendation is to have alternate ways to get in touch on that page, whether it be a phone number or at least an email address that you list there so that they have some other way to get in touch. And if you don't want to use your personal phone number for your business, that's understandable. You can sign up with different like internet phone providers. Dialpad is one. Google, you can get a Google phone number and include that, and it'll ring through to your main phone, but it won't, provide your personal phone number. Okay, so now once you've gone through all of that, you have successfully planned out your website. I know it is a lot to think through, but I hope that this framework has helped to simplify the process. In the next steps, we'll talk about platform and provider, but I'm happy to answer a couple of questions here before we get into that, if there are some.
Yeah. All right. Leslie asked, how do you balance the company needs in terms of marketing versus helping customers decide to select your product or service?
I would highly prioritize helping the customer select you and choose the right product or service. That should be the primary goal of your website. You want to gain customers and clients through your website. So what they need is always more important than whatever, it might feel like is important to communicate as your business. Should always take on the mindset of the customer's need over, I think sometimes it's easy in a business to be like a little bit coming from your point of view. This is what I do. This is what my business does. This is what I think is important about my business, but none of that really matters. Like what actually matters is what the customer needs and how you can uniquely solve their problems or meet their needs. So that should be the highest priority.
And then can you name those internet phone providers again?
Yeah, so Dialpad is one that we use actually at Cardsetter, which is great. And then Google, I think it's called Google Voice. Google can also provide you with a free phone number.
And I'll drop these in the chat to everyone as well. I use Google Voice with my business and I really like it. Grasshopper is another one I've used, but it can be a little more expensive. That's if you have like a whole team and you want, people to be able to dial an extension and get to, different people, but it is an app that all of your staff can have on their phones. All right, let's move on to platforms and providers, and then we'll come back to questions.
Okay, so let's talk briefly about platforms and providers. Here are a few questions that you want to consider as you're evaluating your different options. Now, when I say platform, that is what I'm referring to primarily is the software that your website is going to be built on. So that would be something like Cardsetter. It could be something like WordPress or Squarespace or Wix or Shopify. So that would be a platform. Provider, some platforms are also providers like Cardsetter, but provider would more so be like a freelancer agency, who's going to help you build your website for you. So, those are all options to consider, and you can ask yourself these questions as you're evaluating those options. So will it grow and adapt with your business? So like we mentioned, your business is going to grow, change, adapt. Your website needs to be able to grow, change, and adapt with you. So do you feel that the option you're considering is going to be able to do that affordably and flexibly as you move forward? Do I want to spend my time or my money, and what is the value? So this is something you really should consider when you're setting up your business and you're deciding to move forward with your website, as well as other things that you're doing in your business. What is the value of your time, and where is your time best spent? Now, your time might be most valuable in getting new customers or working with the existing clients that you have, or other operational things in your business. It might not be best spent in uh, you know building and administering your website. So that is just something that you should consider at the outset. Which do I feel more comfortable spending my time or my money, and what is the actual value of that? And don't consider your time at $0, because your time does have a lot of value as the owner of your business. Do the platform's features match your requirements? So now that you have laid out your website plan, you know what features and functionality your website needs. You can look at the different platforms and make sure that they can suit those needs. Are hosting and SSL and other essentials included? So hosting is, your website is a collection of digital files. They have to be stored somewhere. Most subscription-based services like CardSetter, like the do-it-yourself platforms, they provide hosting. If you choose, a WordPress website and you have someone build it for you, or you build it yourself on WordPress, then your website has to be stored somewhere with a host. So you have to set that up separately, although some freelancers and agencies will set up hosting and charge you hosting for you as well. An SSL is a security layer on your domain. It's basically included by Google anymore, so you need to have an SSL on your domain. It helps protect any personal information that's collected on the website. If you choose a subscription platform, it may include it. At CardSetter, we include SSLs. Different subscription platforms may have different policies about that. If you do a WordPress website or someone builds it for you, then you probably need to register that SSL wherever you've registered your domain. Do you have access to make edits on your own? Of course, if you build your own website on a do-it-yourself platform, you have access to make edits on your own. This can vary with agencies or freelancers. Some of them may require that all changes go through them, which may have an hourly fee associated with it. So just something to make sure you know what the policy is before you sign up. What is the cost of future change requests? So again, if you have to go through your agency or freelancer you worked with to make changes to your website, what is the cost associated with those changes? If you build your website yourself and you need to add an e-commerce shop all of a sudden someday in your business, what is the cost of doing that on your own at that point? How is support handled, and is there a cost? So different subscription platforms are going to have different support policies, and they might even have different support options with their different pricing tiers. Freelancers and agencies have their own policies for support. So it's just something to look into, make sure that you are happy with the way support is handled, and decide that it works for you before you sign up with something. And then what happens if you want to switch? So this is a really important one. Someday you may want to move your website to a different platform. There's all kinds of reasons for wanting that. You may decide that you need a certain feature that the platform you're on does not do adequately. You might decide that you want to have someone help you with your website and you no longer want to be on a do-it-yourself platform. There can be all kinds of reasons that you want to switch. So different platforms are going to have different ways that this can happen or not happen. Some platforms don't really let you do like an export of all your content and take it with you. At CardSetter, when someone cancels, we zip up all of the content that they can take with them and import into another platform that's compatible. Some platforms will let you take certain pages and not others. It's just something you should you should try to find the answer to before you choose a platform. Because, for example, if you start pouring all this time and effort into your website, maybe you have started blogging and you have hundreds of blogs in there, you don't want to have to manually add those to your new future website. You want to make it easy to import. And so that's something to take careful consideration into. So when you're evaluating the many different options on where to start your website, it's a balance between time and money. So you want to make sure, of course, that the features are available in the platform that you're going to choose. But then, from there, what's most important, my time or my money? So if you go with a do-it-yourself option like Squarespace or Wix or Shopify, the primary benefit is, the cost savings, monetary cost savings. But the downside is that these platforms will cost you your time. And depending on your technical skill level, you may or may not end up with a website that looks or works quite right. On the other side of the spectrum, you can hire an agency or freelancer to build your website for you. This often still happens on WordPress because it's a really popular platform among agencies and freelancers. The benefit is that someone will take care of all the technical aspects and the design work for you, which saves you time. The downside is that you typically are going to have a higher upfront cost than the do-it-yourself platforms, and you may incur additional expenses when you want to make changes later if you need their help, to make design changes or any substantial changes to your website. While we're on this topic, I will mention my company, which is CardSetter. We're in the mix of options you can consider. And as I previously mentioned, CardSetter exists because I was one of you, a small business owner looking for a better option to run my website. I wanted something that was fast and flexible, that would let me do what I wanted to do with my website and that would grow with me. So at CardSetter, we aim to bridge the gap between do-it-yourself and done for you with a website platform that's easy to use. So it's easy for you to add content, make changes whenever you want. But we include design and setup and ongoing support. So we help our customers get set up on the right foot, and then you don't have to deal with any of the design or technical details of your website on your own. Okay, so I know that we covered a lot of information today, and we have a few minutes for questions, so I'll open it up for questions.
Yeah, I will also drop the website planning link again. It's on the screen here for you guys, along with Jessica's email. But I'll drop this link so you can click it out of the chat box if you haven't downloaded the planner yet. All right. Is it possible to add a PO box in the address if the business is only online?
Yeah, you can add a PO box, or if you are just an online business, it is okay to not necessarily have your address on the page. But you might want to, like, if you serve a certain local service area, for example, you might want to list, serving these cities or that kind of thing, simply because it may help in your search results if people are looking for your type of service in your location. It can help to have that kind of information on the site.
Okay. What are some lower cost starter website builders we can do ourselves?
Lower cost website builders. So the most popular are probably Squarespace and Wix and Shopify for e-commerce options.
Is GoDaddy a good platform? I have 2 domains on GoDaddy.
Yeah, GoDaddy is great for registering your domain. They do have a website building platform as well. I honestly don't have a ton of experience working in GoDaddy, but we have migrated some customers from GoDaddy onto CardSetter. And the primary reason is because they often just are kind of struggling through making a website that they like for the way it looks. And they generally like to have CardSetter help them with, you know, some of the stuff we talked about in today's workshop, where we kind of help them craft like how they're going to talk to their customer, a design that's going to appeal to that customer, and that kind of thing that they struggle to do on their own in a platform like GoDaddy or the other do-it-yourself options.
Linda asked, how do you know if a platform has all of the features you want?
Most platforms are going to have a features page or describe the features that they offer somewhere on their website. So you can look at the features that you need in your checklist and then go to the platform's website and just make sure that they have all of those things.
And one thing to think about when you're looking at features too. So when my business is membership based. So when we were building my website, I needed a place where members could log in and also RSVP for events and have kind of like gated content. And so when I went the original route of building a WordPress website, we built all that functionality into the WordPress site, which, made the website cost a lot more, trying to build all of that in. But when I switched over to CardSetter, we switched over, when I was starting, I didn't realize there was these like third-party platforms that you could use that can work with a website platform. And so we switched over to a software called Membership Works. And I can kind of like build all of our events and our ticket sales and do online check-in and everything within Membership Works. And then on my website, I get like just this little code for Membership Works. I just paste it onto the page and then it populates like the ticketing links and things like that. And I'm not a tech savvy person, but it really can be a good option to kind of look at what third-party platforms are out there that can integrate with a website. So I think that's something to look at when you're picking a platform too. If you want your website to do something, it doesn't all have to be built in on, a $5,000 WordPress website. You can use different options out there.
Yeah, that is one thing. And Randy, I know like we did with you. So we try to get an understanding of the features and functionality that you need, and then try to find the best route to get you the best way to accomplish your goals for as, cost effective a route as possible. Because often these third-party platforms that you can integrate with your website are going to give you more functionality than you would ever get by trying to build it into your platform yourself. So you're going to get more robust features and actually a better workflow out of that integration than like in the example of, our contractor, like he could have asked us to try to build in a login area where he could have people log in and see their project. But in reality, this specific software that was built for that specific need probably has more than he could ever afford to build into his own website.
And one thing to think about if you do a lot of like sales on your website, so I use QuickBooks for our accounting. When I had it built into WordPress, I had to like hand enter all of my ticket sales into QuickBooks. Where going with a third-party platform, it syncs with QuickBooks, so everything just syncs in. So really think about all aspects of your business when you're picking your features. One last question: have you heard of Jimdo? Any thoughts? I may have slaughtered that name. Jimdo.
Yeah, I have heard of it, but I haven't worked in that particular platform before.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jessica. And Randy, you made my job real easy today. Thanks a lot. So as a reminder, a recording of this webinar is available within a couple of days at our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org. Please check our website for information on upcoming webinars. Again, SCORE offers free individual counseling, so please use the link on our website, request a mentor. We are available for sessions via phone, email, and video currently, and live, hopefully shortly. Also, please fill out your evaluations that have been sent at the end of the webinar. On behalf of SCORE, I'd like to thank you all for attending today's SCORE live webinar. In closing, a big thank you to our sponsor, Pitney Bowes, and Jessica Baldwin. Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.